welcome to the Carpet Cleaners training video, part 1, where I'm talking about the setup, care and operation of the equipment in the field. In this part 1 video, we're going to look at the setup, operation and care of the equipment. And you may not have learned all these things in the field, or any of them if you haven't been in the field, but each element I'll be discussing is really integral to success as a carpet cleaner. And these processes are for a number of reasons. Firstly, to maximise the job efficiency, customer satisfaction, safety, and to get good results for you as the operator, us as a company, and our valued customers who are our bread and butter and that we can't survive without. It's essential, firstly, to be careful with the equipment. The machine needs to be standing up when in the van. The machines can't lie down. They need to be secured with a rope or an ocky strap and not rolling around. If they do lie down, they will leak oil out of the pump, and this will result in the pump seizing. It's important for the equipment itself as well as the customer's property to be careful. So also being careful with the dome on the machine. They are fragile and they will break if they're dropped on a hard surface or banged against something, and this renders the operator liable for a new one if it's done in a careless fashion. So don't just swing around the wand or the hose end. They can do serious damage as well when you're connecting them up to the machine, and also when moving the gear in and out of the vehicle. Very important to not drop the machine out of the van. They might look pretty tough, and they are pretty tough, but if you don't ease them down gently, you will damage them if you bang and scrape them or drop them. And we do have a policy, understandably, of such things, such damage being liable to the operator if they're careless with the equipment and dropping it and throwing it around. This also applies when taking the machine up and down stairs, and it's really important not to bounce the machine around. Don't move the machine downstairs with water in it. You will damage the machine and potentially flood the machine as well. And this is very important. Don't move the machine at all when it is high on water if you can help it. All it takes is for the machine to get some water in it, and it will go through the vacuum motors, cause power to short. And normally when a vacuum motor has been flooded in this fashion, some water comes out of the bottom of the machine, so it's a bit of a telltale sign. It does sometimes trip the power. It doesn't always, but it certainly can do if you get enough in there. Another point is in regards to getting power. I'm just going to start having a look at some of the issues that you're going to face in the property. You've carefully unloaded the machine, you've taken it into the property. The next step is to, what was discussed with the customer, which I'll go into in another video. This video I'm really just looking at the equipment. Don't plug into a power board, as the machine will be drawing too much power a lot of the time. If there's other appliances going, you really want to find laundry or kitchen power points if you can. These generally run on 15 amp circuits, and occasionally plugging into a bedroom or living room is going to cut the safety switch if there's only a 10 amp circuit on it. Too much power for the circuit. Generally not a problem, but you just need to be aware that sometimes the laundry and the kitchen are the place you need to be in terms of getting your power. It's always important if you find the power shorts to change to a kitchen or laundry, just to make sure that that's not what the problem is with the house power shorting, because some places they might have other appliances running, and if it's only a 10 amp circuit or a smaller circuit, it might be a problem. So always go for the laundry and the kitchen when you can. Good thing about laundry and kitchen is that they're also generally on their own circuit. So all in all, laundry is generally the best bet. There's two schools of thought on where to put the machine, either out the front of the property or in the laundry or bathroom. Generally depends on the property itself. If there's easy access to the laundry, then wheeling the machine in there and running the water straight into the machine with a filler hose is a really good option. Always mix the powder before putting it into the machine, and if you put it straight into the machine, don't just throw clumps of powder in without water. Flow it into the tank to mix it in. Otherwise the powder will clump at the bottom of the machine, and it can go through the pump like sandpaper and ends up breaking down pump seals and in turn can ruin the pump. Setup time's critical in achieving a good result on jobs. So the setup time should be around about 5 minutes, but if the tips I'm about to show you aren't followed, they can blow out to 10 minutes. And when you add that up, 5 minutes too long setting up, 5 minutes too long packing up, that can add up to an extra hour over the course of just 6 jobs. So it's integral to set up and pack up in an efficient manner. Firstly, when arriving, you should take the machine with you to the door. Back to the vehicle after you've taken the machine in there. Put the hose over one shoulder. It's essential to keep the hose looped, the vacuum and solution hose looped, and not all over the place. And you need good ties, good cable ties or tape on there to make sure that it is sitting properly. If you can't loop it up at the end of a job and chuck it over your shoulder, something's wrong. You need to either get some more ties on it or sort it out. Usually if there's not enough ties or tape on it, it will start to tangle up and it causes all sorts of dramas. You really want to be able to loop that and wang it over your shoulder, because it does make it a lot easier to then unravel it once you get it in. So you put the hose over your shoulder, and the white buckets, one stacked on top of the other in one hand and the wand in the other hand. Now your bucket, the buckets you take in should have inside them a small, about 1 kilo bucket with the powder in it, a 10 metre extension lead, a deodorizer spray bottle, your filler hose, and if needed on that particular job, an upholstery one. So by taking the gear to the property in 2 runs in this fashion, it does save a lot of time. You've got the hose over the shoulder, you've got the carpet wand in one hand, you've got the buckets in the other hand, and particularly if you've got a few flights of stairs to get up and down, it really will save you time. Nobody likes the flights of stairs, but it is just part of the job. There's stairs out there, you know, and you can minimise the challenge that poses by doing it in 2 runs. When setting up, well, you've gotten back into the place with your hose, wand and buckets. Take the hose and wand, put them in the furthest room of the house, which is the first room you're going to start in. While you're doing that, start running the water. Let it run hot before putting it into the machine or bucket, because you want the water to be as hot as possible. And put the powder into the flow of water according to the soiling. Have a look at the instructions on your lift-off powder bucket. If you don't have instructions or you don't have a lift-off powder bucket with them, the rule of thumb is for a really dirty carpet, you want about 2 times the amount of powder that you would use for a clean carpet. So for a dirty carpet, you want about half a cup per bucket, per 20 litre bucket. For a cleaner carpet, you want about a quarter of a cup per bucket. And so it's really important to use plenty of powder without going over the top. It does cause problems if you do use too much powder. You don't want to be using too much powder. So if you start running the water while you're setting up your gear, you can save a couple of minutes right there. So that's really important, getting the gear in and out in 2 runs and getting that water running while you're setting up. And that's the end of this first part. The next part I'll have a look at the actual carpet cleaning process and some of the tricks and tips to maximise your effectiveness.